Well, hello out there to all of my villagers in Facebook land. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. My name is Latrice Sampson Richards. I am a mental and emotional wellness creative, licensed professional counselor, and certified life enhancement coach. I teach Black women the skills that we need in order to heal and manifest. And I do so by sharing my journey with you in hopes that it will help you along your own. And this is a random live, which is where I'm in the middle of a conversation with somebody that I enjoy conversating with, and or something comes up in my head and I just feel like telling y'all about it. And so that's what I do. It is random AF. All right. So
Yes.
this is my good friend and colleague, Dianna Sumlin. Dianna is a licensed clinical social worker here in the Fort Lauderdale, Miami area. And Dianna and I were having a conversation. I'm working with Dianna to help her to get her first premium course up and running. So that is super duper exciting.
Yes, it
And
is.
that just kind of led us down the rabbit hole of conversation. Hey, Courtney, how you doing? Y'all make sure that you, when you come on in, that you let us know that you're here and say hey or whatever. If you're watching this on the replay, go ahead and say hey, girl. Comment hashtag replay so I could say hey girl, hey, or whatever. Because I always love when you all tune in, even if you can't make it live. Hi, Andre. And so Diana and I were having this conversation, and it kind of led us to talking about authenticity. And I said, you know what? I think I want to do a live. You want to do a live with me? For those of you who are keeping count, we're doing real good this week. This is my third live in 4 days, I want to say, or 4 or 5 days. Hey, Ramona, what's going on? Ramona is tuning in from YouTube. I am broadcasting live right now from Facebook and from YouTube. So if it's easier for you to head on over to my YouTube channel, which is at Latrice Sampson Richards as well, then you can tune in over there. Make sure that you subscribe so that you catch my lives whenever they go down. Press the little bell on the side or whatever so you can get notification, okay? Because that's what Ramona got. Ramona got notified that Treat is
Yes.
doing a live stream on the YouTube. So Ramona said, "Ain't no way I'm fitting to miss that." So yeah. So anyway, that what we was talking about was, you know, Diana was saying that this is the first time in her professional career that she is, surrounded by people that she feels like she can trust, and like people that she feels like understands who she is. And that just kind of led into a deeper conversation of allowing yourself to be seen. And I was telling her that, I spent the first half of my life trying to meet the expectations of other people. I spent a significant amount of time trying to be something that I thought they wanted me to be, like something that I thought they were expecting me to be. And because of that, I spent a lot of time being sad and miserable and just, not feeling comfortable in my skin, not really being, just not being like trying to minimize myself, trying to hide myself and minimize myself. And what I realized at that halfway mark, you know what I'm saying, is honestly like not even halfway, to be honest, because I didn't really start making that shift until I was approaching my 30th. Right? So
Yeah.
within a year or two approaching my 30th is when stuff really started shifting for me. And I like to say it's almost like my little third eye started waking up. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Yes.
And what I realized was that I was holding all of this resentment toward the people, places, and situations that I felt like were boxing me in.
Yes.
And the reality, though, is that it was my fault. because I was trying to live up to those expectations, and because I was spending so much time trying to be the person that I thought they needed or wanted or expected me to be, I
Mhm.
was not showing them the reality of who I am. And then I was getting mad at them for not knowing the reality of who I am and not accepting the reality of who I am. But how can they know if I'm not showing them? What are your thoughts about that?
So many. How much time we got? Nah, but
We
you
got as much time as we need.
listen. You know me. You know the several about just being who you are, authentically you, no matter what. You know, I think that it's so many layers to it. You know what I mean? And then you're talking about for us as Black women in particular,
Mm-hmm.
since we are put down so much, right? We're like the only group of people, at least this is in my opinion, like anybody,
Mm-hmm.
you know, have their own, opinion on what I'm about to say. But in my opinion, as Black women, we are the only group of people who are simultaneously put down and dragged down while also somehow being put up on this pedestal of respectability and what we should be.
Girl, you better say that then, girl, because
It's just
listen,
it's
it is
crazy.
really, really real out here.
It's insane to me. It makes no sense how we can be both between a rock and a hard place, because it makes no sense whatsoever how as Black women, and or obviously I can only speak for Black women because I am one.
Right.
But as Black women, how we are pulled and pushed and pulled and pushed, and when we are authentically ourselves,
Yes.
told you're a bitch.
Yeah. Or
You
you
don't,
angry.
yeah, you're angry. You don't respect. You don't love your Black men.
Mm-hmm.
You don't love your community. You choosing yourself over your community.
Mm-hmm.
Told that so much, and the disturbing brainwashes effect, watching effects of that is typically a bitter person,
Right.
an angry person,
Right.
someone you don't even want to come close to because you think that they're just like that to be like that, but no one's angry just to be angry, especially a Black woman. We are
Absolutely.
literally the most disrespected human beings on this planet. And we still find a way to hold our heads up high and to still be ourselves authentically, even if it takes years for us to find that authenticity in ourselves, to develop that
Absolutely.
self-love. We find a way to get it, and when we do, we continue to develop the tribe around us that mirrors that, you know. So I think that's really important when we're talking about authenticity, because part of that is also finding your tribe that matters, finding your tribe that celebrates your authenticity, that celebrates what makes you different, what makes you
Mm-hmm.
extraordinary, what makes you special, what makes you important. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So like when I go and I look at it, and I look at young people, and I look at people that are a little older our age, and I see those that are older than us and so forth, and I see how the different generations interact within themselves and with each other, and I see the lack of authenticity in a lot of people because so many of us unfortunately are still trying to live up, as you stated earlier, to the expectation of others without even realizing it.
Yeah. Well, because I think it's something that it's instilled in us from an early age. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like it's something that is really deeply embedded in us, like
Mhm.
from birth,
Yeah.
damn near from birth.
Yeah.
And it's difficult to kind of break out of that cycle, that thought process, that you know, I don't know what's the word I'm looking for, but it's hard to break free from it. And when you do try to break free from it, At least this has been my experience. Y'all that's watching, it's a good bit of y'all watching. Those of you who are watching, you let me know. Let me know if I'm making some shit up. Y'all let me know. But my experience has been and is that when you finally become aware of the matrix, you know what I'm saying? When you become aware of the matrix and that third eye starts opening up and you start
Yeah.
realizing that you
Mm-hmm.
are minimizing yourself for
Mm-hmm.
the sake of fitting in or being a part of or conforming or getting along or whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
and you start making those changes and you start showing yourself and you start saying, okay, no, 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 like I know you think that that's who I am, but that's not the reality of who I am. This is the reality of who I am. And you start really like allowing yourself to be seen. It becomes a problem
Yeah.
for people who do not benefit from your authenticity,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because there's
Yeah.
some people who need you to be broken.
Yeah.
That's a word. I feel like
Yeah.
somebody needs to write that in the comments box.
Yes.
Ramona, where you at, girl? Somebody needs to
Yes.
write that in the comments box, because y'all know in
It's
order
the
to keep
truth.
something, you gotta write it down. And y'all need
It's
to
the
keep that.
truth. Yes.
Some
It's
people do not benefit from your healing, your authenticity, your growth, your development.
mm-hmm.
It is not in their best interest,
Yeah.
because in order for them to continue getting whatever it is that they're getting from you, they
Mm-hmm.
need you to remain broken. If you heal, then
Mm-hmm.
you're no longer meeting their need,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. It's like they thrive off of the broken. Their expectation is that as long as you stay broken, you serve a purpose for them,
Yeah.
not the opposite, or not even mutual. You know, um, and you see this in unhealthy relationships, where someone gets with another person who was recently like in a domestic violence situation or some kind of a really toxic relationship that they came out of,
Right.
and you this person and this is not everyone obviously, but this is how this scenario kind of plays out. Often you get this other person who sees them and they see that they are broken, right? They know that, and in their mind it's like, oh well, let's see how I can fix them by making them become what I expected them.
Mm-hmm.
But when that happens, oftentimes the other person gets a false sense of self, because that ain't self-esteem, that ain't self-confidence, that's not self-worth, that is not self-love.
Mm.
It ain't none of those things.
Right.
Because when you can only view yourself through the lens of another person, that is not self-love.
What are the dangers, Dianna, of having and maintaining a false sense of self and self-love and self-care and self-worth? Like why is that a dangerous thing?
Oh man. Other than the obvious reasons.
Well, no, give us the obvious reasons.
Well, the obvious reasons, definitely because you can fall into a trap. You fall into that trap of unrealistic expectations for yourself,
Mm-hmm.
based on someone else is putting in your head
Yeah.
about who you should and who you should feel you are.
Mm-hmm.
So none of the thoughts in your mind are self-induced, so to speak. If they are not thoughts that you thought of yourself prior to another person telling you, that's a dangerous thing.
Yeah.
Because what oftentimes that means is that the only way that you view yourself in any kind of positive light, or any light for that matter, is through what someone else thinks, which is very dangerous because that is oftentimes why we see high levels of depression. Um, and again, I'm speaking to Black women because I am one. You
I'm
know,
always speaking to Black women.
yeah,
We get a
yeah,
little bit of everybody on these live
yeah. We
streams,
get enough
but
of
they all
everybody,
know
but
that I'm talking to Black women.
yeah, like speaking for us in particular, and I can also to some degree speak to some of the clients I've worked with from other backgrounds and such, but as Black women in particular, it's dangerous for us because we already hold everything in because we feel like we have to put ourselves last and everyone first. When in reality, you need to put yourself first in order to be able to help everyone else. You
Yeah.
can't be a single solitary person on this earth if you cannot help yourself.
Yes.
Can't not you cannot raise a child properly in the way that you feel like you can raise them best if you're not mentally and physically in the mind frame to do so. If you don't love yourself, how can someone else love you the way that you want them to love you? So
And
that's
I've heard
a
people
danger.
kind of push back against the idea of that. Like I've heard people kind of twist that the notion that if you don't love yourself, how can somebody else love you? And kind of twist it into this almost as if it's saying, because you don't know how to love yourself, that you're not worthy of love.
Mm, mm, mm,
And I think that's one of the dangers
mm-hmm. Yeah.
of receiving information from
Mm-hmm.
people who are not qualified to provide you with
Mm-hmm.
that information. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
absolutely.
saying? Like
Yeah.
that's one of the dangers of anybody being able to pick up their phone and call themselves a coach and say my ideas on life are the right ideas. And don't
Mm-hmm.
get me wrong, I mean, I guess, there's a place for that. I'm sure that there's
Yeah.
somebody who was delivered as a result of that message. You know what I'm saying? And so,
Yeah.
you know, different strokes for different folks. I mean,
Hey,
that's just
listen.
what it is. Different strokes for different folks. But
Yeah, yeah.
one of the things that my audience knows, my villagers all know, that when you come over here, we're talking like real deal, scientifically researched and
Yeah.
backed. Like this is the actual
Mm-hmm.
way that human beings process.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like this is
Mhm,
not, this is, yes, this is my journey. This is shit that I picked up along the way. This is what I know to be true.
mhm,
But I know this to be true technically and
mhm.
experientially.
Yes, absolutely. Now you're absolutely right. You have to be able to have some kind of facts to back up what you're saying because otherwise, if everything just comes from opinion, then with just strictly opinions with no actual facts to back it up, then it kind of makes it hard to receive. Um, and part of those facts are life experiences. If
Yeah.
that the fact is you had a certain life experience that made you feel this way about yourself, and when you went to explain how you went through that phase with someone and how what you did got you through, that is a fact. That
Yeah.
however, that does not mean that what you did to get through what you went through is going to work for the next person. So
And it doesn't mean that what you did was the healthiest way
that
to
too.
go
Yeah.
about doing it. Like, yeah, like sometimes it's just like straight up survival mode.
Yeah.
And I definitely like get that. Sometimes we just trying to make it. We just trying to
Yeah.
survive whatever that moment of survival is, like
Yeah.
whatever it
Yeah.
is that we need to survive in that moment. But that doesn't mean just because you made it through it and just
Mhm.
because you got on the other side of it in terms of like time and space and
Mhm.
stuff like that, that don't mean that you healed from it.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that that was the most emotionally effective way
Mhm.
to handle a situation or to move through a situation. It doesn't mean that you're not still repressing all of the emotions connected to that situation that you
Girl,
didn't have time, space, or capacity to process at that time.
you just said a whole lot. Because that's what we were just talking about. You said a whole lot because that's the thing. Like, we have a tendency to suppress those things and pretend that it no longer exists in our lives and be like, oh, I feel so much better. I feel like I'm healed. I'm this, I'm that. But then when something triggers that memory of whatever that situation was,
Mm-hmm.
back there again.
Mm-hmm.
It's like nothing ever changed. You end up reverting right back to where you were because the reality is you never truly dealt with it. So,
Never.
and dealing with it isn't simply saying it happened. No, it's more than that. It's allowing yourself to go through that process of feeling that pain, that hurt, that anger,
Mm-hmm.
that confusion, that frustration, that fear, all of those things. It's allowing yourself to go through that process, like really go through that process of feeling those things, acknowledging what those things mean to you, and actually taking the time to work through each of those feelings and why they still come up for you and why they're still so strong in your life and why it is that you're so easily triggered to whatever responses that you have about the situation or yourself.
So what you're saying? So what you're saying is that it is actually possible for me to figure out why somebody hurt or why what somebody did hurt my feelings instead of slashing their tires.
Hell yeah.
You saying I ain't gotta be out here slashing tires and busting out windows?
Listen, let me tell you something. My windows and slash my tires, all of the therapeutic mojo in me goes away, and the person that was raised in certain communities will come out. I'm just, I will forget about all of that.
I just want to make sure I understand what you're
I'm
trying to
just
say is
saying,
that there is an alternative to emotional acting out. That
yes,
just
there
because
is.
those are the coping skills that I learned in order to survive, that don't mean that that's the way that I have to continue to be and
Exactly.
engage with my emotional states throughout the rest of my life.
Exactly. That's exactly what it means. I think we have been, in so many ways, conditioned to think that we have to respond a certain way in order to get a certain reaction or to get a certain level of respect or
Mhm.
heard. But you don't want to just be heard. You actually want to be listened to. And not only do you want to be listened to, you want those people or that person to listen to understand you and not listen to simply reply or to respond with some negativity or to have a rebuttal. That's not what you want. And if our behavior shows that we want to go around here bashing windows in and slashing tires, ain't nobody about to listen to you. You doing that? I can't hear you with the gas in my ear. I'm just
Listen, we just need to pause.
yes.
Let's pause for the cause because I need somebody who taking notes. Who taking notes? Y'all know y'all supposed to be taking notes when y'all come over here. Okay.
Doing
Who
y'all
taking-
classwork.
I need somebody to write down for the group, for the live stream, that the goal is not just to be heard, but to be listened to.
Yes.
Like, not just being heard. It's not enough for me to be able to say what I need to say. I need you to listen to
Yes.
what is being said. So
Yes.
when we are acting out, raging out, slashing tires, cussing people out, which I ain't gonna lie, I had to cuss somebody out about 2 months ago. But he had deserved it. And I had tried real hard not to go there with him, but he just kept on and kept on and kept on. And so I feel like he had earned it.
Yes.
So we're not saying that there's never a time or a place.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But what we're saying is that is the alternative option. That
Yes.
is the when all else fails. I've tried to use my coping skills. I've tried to use my communication skills. I have tried to use my people skills. I tried walking away. I tried sitting down, conflict resolution, whatever it is. I tried to do this in an emotionally healthy way.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
this motherfucker keep playing with me. So
Yeah.
what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have to speak to you in a language that you can understand. Cause what you're not gonna do is hallelujah. I need somebody to put a little hallelujah hands, God. A little hallelujah hands. Give us a little praise dance in the comments, please. Okay. So we're not saying that you should suppress your feelings, that you should, and in actuality, we are saying that the exact opposite of
Yeah,
that.
the opposite of it.
What we're saying is that you need to communicate
Mm-hmm.
what you're feeling, where you are, what you need, what you thought, what's in your head,
Mm-hmm.
what you want, your disappointments, your joy, your pride. Like you need to communicate. You need to
Yes.
allow people to see you
Yes.
in every way that they deserve to be able to see you. Because everybody don't deserve to get the same level of you.
No, no, definitely not. And not only that, you need to be able to express yourself the way that you deserve to express yourself. You
Mm,
need to be able to be heard in a way that is not damaging to who you are. And
mhm.
so, practicing a healthier response to things that trigger you to any kind of level of anger, practicing a healthier response will substantially improve your quality of life because you don't feel like you have to respond by beating somebody else all the time.
Mm-hmm. Thank you,
But
Ramona. I'm just posting. Ramona posted that little nugget up for us. So
thank
y'all
you.
can write that down if you missed it.
Yes, please write that down because it's the truth. I think all of us forget when it comes to communicating, whether it's communicating how we feel about a situation or communicating shit, what you want to eat for dinner tonight. you know, in any form of communication, I think it gets lost. Yes, girl, I know. It gets lost though. What the understanding behind what you're saying has a tendency to get lost in communication because we all of us are guilty of listening to respond and not to actually understand what somebody's saying to us, which is
Listen,
why
listen,
we act like we do.
listen. Let's talk about the simplicity of that
Of
because
listening.
I think that for a lot of us,
Mm-hmm.
we feel like getting to a place of being able to utilize healthy coping skills, having those skills, in our bag of tricks or whatever, however you want to say that, like that, it feels so overwhelming when we sit down and we think about all that we are missing,
Yes.
like all of the coping skills that we're missing. We think about just how fucked up our response system is
Mm-hmm.
to the things that we experience. We think about all of the lessons that we should have learned that we never did learn. We
Mm-hmm.
think about, we it can feel very overwhelming
Yeah, it
to
can.
consider the reality of how much you don't know. But what
Mm-hmm.
you just outlined is something that I try to communicate as 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 much as I can, which is why whenever I'm teaching something, I was telling you as we were working toward building out your program, break it down to the smallest pieces because something that feels so big and insurmountable
Mm-hmm.
is really several little things all combined into one,
Yeah,
right? And
yeah.
so I want you to talk a little bit more about the simplicity of restructuring your responses, restructuring the emotional reactions and responses that you have, and how those things are really just several little tweaks
Mm-hmm.
and changes that add up to one major adjustment.
Mm. we I think we first off, I think we overanalyze how simple things can be. Let's just go there first. We have a tendency as people to overanalyze how simple change can be and how easy change actually can be. Um, and how, what's the word? See, now I just lost the word. But just how affirming, you know, small changes can be.
Yeah,
And when we're talking about listening,
affirming.
man, one of the easiest ways to, if in my opinion, and when I say easy, I don't mean, oh, you don't have to do any work. Don't get that twisted. You got to do work at all times. You know, growth is not a thing that stops at a certain place.
Right,
You are constantly growing. If
right.
you choose to. Let me clarify that one more time. You are constantly growing.
Yeah,
You so choose to. And what I mean by that is you have to be willing to put the work in for yourself.
yes,
You have to be willing to have that self-discipline that is necessary to grow to another place of where you may not have been already, where you're trying to go, or the place where you actually need to go. Because sometimes where we're trying to go ain't where we need to go.
girl, you almost made me jump out my skin, out my bed just now. Girl,
It's all
sometimes where
that
you're trying to go
truth.
ain't where you need to go. Y'all, she had to hit us with it right quick. Did y'all feel that? I need somebody. Did y'all feel that? She had hit. I was not prepared. I
You
was
weren't ready for that
still
part.
prepared, God.
I'm
I was
just
not prepared. I need somebody to type in the comments. Sometimes where you trying to go
mm-hmm.
ain't where you need to go. It's simple, but it is so profound.
It is.
See what I'm saying? Hey,
It is.
Damien. Hey, Jacqueline. It's simple, but it is so, so, so profound.
It's the truth.
It's the truth.
It's and if we continue to lie to ourselves and say, well, this don't really need to happen. This all right. I'm good. You know, oh, I don't really need to change this. It's just that person that thinks it's an issue, you know, or it's just this, or it's just that. You
Mm,
know, we get so caught up in making excuses for why we don't want to do the work,
mm.
knowing that we need to make that change for ourselves, not for other people. If we get out of this idea that we need to make a change for somebody else, the small changes matter and they end up becoming bigger changes for us long term. That was something that I can honestly admit that I had an issue with for some years. Like as much as I have pride myself on being authentically me, on not taking no shit from nobody. I'm gonna be Dianna no matter what. You can ask my family and my closest friends. They will tell you I have been an argumentative person because I was always trying to make sure that people knew who the hell I was and
Yes.
respect me. But in that process, I was pushing people away that actually needed to be there,
Yeah.
gaining people that didn't need to be there. So it took me some time to figure that out. Like, nah, 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 nah. That's not who you are.
Yeah.
Not angry just because you're angry. You have reasons for it, but you need to find a healthy way to work through that. And
Yeah.
it took a long time to get to that point. Even after becoming a clinician and working with clients, I was still being triggered heavily because I did not allow myself to go through the process that I needed to go through in a healthy way that would help to reduce those triggers and in some cases completely alleviate those triggers.
Talk about it.
I didn't, for one, I was angry. Ain't got no shame in saying it. There's absolutely nothing wrong with being angry. Anger emotion. It is a safe emotion because that emotion protects the rest of your emotions. That is why anger comes out in forms of your fight or flight. So because of that, people think that anger is wrong because they don't want to see you when you get angry because they don't want to see you turn into the Hulk. So they try to tell us that anger is bad. Anger is very healthy, and if you suppress your anger, you're hurting yourself. And that's what I used to do. I used to suppress it in a certain way. I wouldn't show it initially, but I would show it on myself. And what I, as a teenager, I would hurt me.
Because it's going to come out one way or another, right? Like that's the thing about emotion is that there is no shutting. Well, I don't want to say that there is no shutting down, but honestly, I think I do want to say that because I feel like even those of us who have mastered shutting down our emotion, we really not that great at it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's still there. You're just getting better and better at failing to acknowledge it, but it's still there and it comes out in the interactions that you have with other people. It comes out in the internal dialogue that you have with yourself about who you are, where you're going, and what you deserve. It comes out in the tumultuous relationships that you continue to attract to your life. And you said something a few minutes ago that I wanted to just really highlight because it's something that it's a word choice. You know, I was telling Jessica earlier today, we were talking, and I was telling, not Jessica, no, I was telling Courtney, my bestie is in here, Courtney Robinson. Hey, Cole. It's my best friend. Courtney, I've been knowing Courtney since 3 years old. When I tell you, that's the homie, like that's the homie. You know what I'm saying? And Courtney and I was talking earlier, and I was telling her words are like, I love words. Words are kind of my thing. I'm not saying I'm the best wordsmith in all the land, but I appreciate words because words have the ability to communicate emotion.
Yes.
And thought process and states of being.
Yes.
That's extremely powerful. So I try to be as intentional as I can about word selection. And so one of the things that you said was we use those experiences as an excuse to, stay where we are or to not make the changes or whatever it might be. And I really try not to use that word excuse.
Yes.
Because the reality is that for some of us, the shit that you've been through, it's understandable that you ain't know how to deal with that shit. Some of the stuff that we've gone through, some of the things that we are having to process are things that you have to have been taught how to process.
Yes,
and if you don't know, that means your mama probably didn't know, or your daddy probably didn't know. That means her mama, her daddy, his mama, his daddy probably didn't know. Like
whoever you was raised by, girl. Yeah.
Who was going to teach you? So it's not always that it's an excuse. And I think sometimes we use this idea of our experiences being an excuse. We use that to continue to browbeat ourselves.
Yes.
And so what I always like to say, and all my villagers that's in here, y'all already know what I'm about to say. It's not an excuse. It's just an explanation. You see what I'm saying? Excuses allow us to remain where we are. Excuses give us permission to not grow, to not achieve, to not be motivated,
to not try,
to not try, to not be happy, to be fearful. Excuses allow us to stay where we are. An
Exactly.
explanation gives you the information that you need to
Mhm.
find a way forward.
Exactly. And excuses have a tendency, they have a way of becoming a crutch.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah,
that's
excuses
that's
are a crutch.
yeah. Excuses are a crutch, and that's that's my biggest thing is using our experiences as a crutch and not taking that time to go through the process of walking again on our.
Yeah,
It's like going to physical therapy, but you want to use your crutches every time you're in physical therapy, knowing that you're trying to learn how to walk again. How in the hell you gonna learn how to walk fully by yourself if you are refusing to let go of the crutch that you have?
yeah,
You know, you don't have to forget it,
absolutely.
but you need to let it go in order to move forward.
Yes,
And it's like, why do we want to hold on to that pain?
yeah,
Why do we want to hold on to that anger? Why do we want to hold on to that self doubt? Why do we want to hold on to not forgiving? Because none of that is a reflection of you loving yourself.
yeah,
None of it is.
yeah,
Holding on to things that no longer serve a purpose in our lives does not reflect self love.
yeah,
You know, holding on to that stuff. And that's something I had to learn. Honestly, I had to learn that recently.
yeah,
I
yeah.
had to go through something really rough for myself over the last couple of years. And more recently, when I really allowed myself to process and feel everything that I did not want to feel, and I allowed myself to go through that process of feeling it and letting it go,
Mm-hmm.
I began to feel it lift. Like you could physically feel that lifting. You could physically feel it being lighter. Um, you could, and people around you can sense it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a big family person. Like I'm always with nieces and nephews or my siblings or somebody. I'm always with family and close friends. So for the people that are with me constantly to say, you look different, you sound different, your response to us is different, that does something to you. It makes you actually want to do it more because you realize, because you know how it is when you're trying to lose weight, you don't notice those inches coming off.
Mm-hmm.
You don't always notice it because you see here like, well, I'm still the same. I'm still this weight.
Yeah,
You
that
lost 5
scale
inches.
ain't moving.
The scale ain't moving, but you lost 5 inches, boo.
Mm-hmm.
You're losing the fat. You're gaining muscle. Muscle's heavier than fat.
Yeah.
And thought process comes with working on yourself emotionally and mentally is you have to keep going.
Girl, you's on fire tonight, Miss Sumlin. You was on fire tonight because I just had an aha moment because you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. When you are trying to lose weight and you
Mhm.
working out and things like that, the scale is not the best way to determine your success.
Mm-mm,
Getting
not at
on that
all.
scale, it does not necessarily say that what you're doing is working or not
Mhm.
working, right? Because you might be losing fat, but you're gaining muscle, right? So
Mhm.
you're losing excess, but you're gaining the strength that you need to
Girl,
be able to persevere. So
say it
the
again.
scale is not moving, but
Mm-hmm.
the inches is moving. You got
Mm-hmm.
to dig a little deeper.
Yes, you have.
Right? You got to dig a little deeper. And it's the same thing with your healing. You
Mm-hmm.
might find yourself in the same spot. Your situation may not have changed. You might not be a millionaire, or you may not have found the love of your life, the partner that you're going to be with for the rest of your life yet, or you
Mm-hmm.
may not have figured out exactly what you're going to do for your career, but you have started the process of strengthening yourself from the inside,
Mm-hmm. Yes,
so
exactly.
that when the opportunity presents itself for you to get to that place and to have those options and to make those choices, you are mentally and emotionally capable of doing those things successfully.
Yes, You're absolutely right. And it really starts with small changes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we have a tendency again to forget that small things matter. I've always been a person about small gestures, small things, because to me the smallest things matter. And they matter because they turn into bigger things as time goes on. And so
Mm-hmm.
when you take the time to work on it from the most minute detail, like say you start by writing words of affirmations on your bathroom mirror,
Mm-hmm.
something, you have a new phrase every week that you put up. Like I can tell y'all now, I have a phrase still sitting up, three phrases still sitting up on my mirror from when I went through a very deep, dark, depressive episode where I could not serve myself, I could not serve my family, I could not serve my clients like I needed to. I had to pull back from everyone and seek the help that I needed from another source,
Yeah.
therapist, and other people who were unbiased and understood how serious it was for me, because otherwise I would probably have still been in that place or even not here. And so I had to really work through that. And one of the small steps I did was put up affirmations on my glass. And I put affirmations up in every room in my place with
Yeah.
a mirror. And my nieces and nephews would come over here saying, Auntie, what's that? I say, read it. They would read it, and every single time somebody comes over here, they would read those affirmations and leave here feeling more affirming about themselves, because
Yeah.
it's just about me, it's about you, it's about, the whole point of really trying to help other people. You have to be able to know how to help yourself or seek the support that is necessary to help you become that person that you need to be, not who you want to be.
Listen, girl. Listen. Now, what you're not gonna do is come up on my live attacking me all on the cool. That's what you're not gonna do,
I
boo.
am not.
You're not gonna be coming up on my live in my house with my villagers
I thought we
out
was
here
family.
shooting shots at me and trying to call me out on my shit. That's what you're not gonna
No.
do, Dianna.
Listen, if you gonna call me out on my shit when I need it, I gotta call you out on yours too, boo. It's all love.
Gonna make my head roll and everything,
And make
girl.
it roll, girl. Make it roll.
Listen, when you are the person that is responsible
Mhm.
for the well-being of your circle, right?
Yes,
So if
yes,
you are the nucleus of your world, if you are not okay, nobody is okay. And so that puts you at the top of the totem pole.
mhm.
You have to prioritize yourself. If you're on an airplane and the airplane going down, which Lord, I hope don't none of us ever find ourselves in that situation. But y'all know what they tell you. In the event that there is a pressure decrease in the cabin, your mask is going to drop down.
Put yours.
You need to put your mask on first
Mm-hmm.
before you attempt to help somebody else. You know why that is? Because you ain't no good to nobody if you pass out trying to put their mask on.
It's such common sense, but common sense isn't
You
common for
got
everyone.
their mask on, but now you can't breathe, girl. So now they on their own. They got their mask, but what they gonna do?
Yeah, they ain't gonna help you. It might not
How
help
they
you.
gonna help you? They needed your help.
They got a 50-50 chance of helping you, baby.
Not
And
even 50-50. Because if they were in a position to be able to help you, then they would not have been completely dependent on you to help them.
yeah, exactly.
So
Exactly.
you have to make sure that you are in a position to be able to show up for them. And
Yes.
for a lot of us, that means allowing yourself to be seen, letting
Mm-hmm.
them know what it is that you need from them,
Yeah.
communicating who you are in all of your different forms. It's a whole lot of people living inside of me, girl. Let me tell you. I got a whole bunch of personalities. And some days, you don't know who's gonna come out. Some days I might be a little saucy. Some days I might be a little sedity. Some days I'm real hood. And then some days I'm real shy and meek. You know what
But
I'm
that's not
saying?
you though. That's
But
you.
it's all me.
Yes.
It's all a part of who I am. Some days I am
Yes.
the life of the party. And
Yes.
then some days I just don't want to be bothered. I don't want to talk to people. I don't want to see people. I don't want to be around people. And
Mm-hmm.
all of those different parts make up who I am. And
Yeah.
it's my responsibility to make sure that I communicate those different components of myself to
Yes.
the people that matter. Now, I'm not saying that everybody gets to see every single part of you. You have to go back to your people categorization. If you don't know what that is, that means you need to sign up for the Empower Your Vision Masterclass.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because I teach people categorization inside of the masterclass. But real quickly, people categorization is the process by which you categorize the relationships that exist in your life. And proper categorization is important because the categorization sets the expectation for the relationship. And if you do not have appropriate expectations for the relationship, you are setting yourself up for failure, i.e., negative feelings, emotions, thoughts, experiences within that relationship.
Yeah.
Okay. So, based on the category that you have that person in,
Mm-hmm.
will determine how much of yourself that you give to them and which parts of yourself that you show to them. But there needs to be somebody or some group or something that you feel you can adequately express every single aspect of who you are. I
Mm-hmm.
have my therapy friends. I talk to y'all about therapy stuff. I have my podcasting friends, and I
Mm-hmm.
talk to them about podcasting stuff. I got my let's make some money moves business friends, and I
Mm-hmm.
talk to them about business stuff. But guess what else I have? I got my real hood ratchet shit kind of friends, and that's
Yeah.
who I talk to about my real hood ratchet shit with. You know what I'm saying? I talk to my I talk to I got all my love you like a play cousin kind of friends.
Yep. 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 Don't
I
we all?
got my friends that have turned into family. I got my friends that know me better than family. And then I got people that I used to fuck with that I don't fuck with no more.
Ooh, said it. Said
I
it.
got people that I never really fucked with, but I
Mm.
gotta keep them around just in case.
Mm-hmm.
And I got my people that if I see, and that list is kind of short though. This list is a little short. I got my people that if I see you in the streets, it's on site.
Oh, oh.
That's
See,
a small
I
list.
didn't
That ain't no
expect
big
that
list.
one.
That list that's the
Listen,
smallest of all the lists. But it
real,
is a list. I have
real
people
talk.
that
I
speak to the
expect
poetic
that.
side of me. I got people that speak to, it's so many different things that go into making you
Yeah,
who you are.
you're right. It is. I didn't expect you to say that, but yeah, I think I got a similar list to that too. And I definitely got a rather short list of I'm gonna fuck you up on site people. You know, but the change in
That's what I be trying to tell people. Look, don't let the cute face fool you. Okay? I am about that life.
I've been
I
telling
am
people
about
for
that life.
years. I have literally
Don't let
been
the cute
telling
face
people that.
fool you. I try not to let that girl come out. You know what I'm saying?
Look, man,
Try to use
listen.
my coping skills and things, but I will slap the shit out of you if I feel like that's what needs to happen.
Yeah, and people got to understand that about us therapists. Like they had this idea in their mind though that because we don't went to school for this shit and learn some of the book side of this shit, right? Yeah,
Listen,
we still ain't gonna knock them out. Like,
Listen.
I've grown a lot.
Listen.
You know, but I will still knock you out if I absolutely have to. However, we do not want to do that though.
That's not what we don't want to do. That I don't want to be that person no more.
We want to
You
nip that.
know?
We don't want to even let it get to that point. You know,
Yeah.
we really
Yeah.
truly don't want to let it get to the point where, you know, you every time you see that person, you're ready to slap shit out of it, you know, or every time you look in the mirror at yourself, you're ready to cause harm to yourself because you don't care about yourself. You don't see who you really are. You don't feel like that person that you deserve to feel like. We
Yeah.
want you to constantly feel that way because we have both been there. I
Yeah.
looking in the mirror like I fucking hate me.
Yeah.
Really know why. And
Yeah.
that's why it's so important to do the work that is necessary. You have to do the work. And I tell people this a lot, and I think it's starting to finally register with some people when I talk about self-discipline, because just like selfish, the word selfish gets a bad name, self-discipline
Yeah.
too. And I'll go back to selfish in a minute. But when it comes to self-discipline, it is one of the truest, purest acts of self-love there is. Reason for it is because when you have that discipline and you have that steadfast, just, you know, what's the word? I was going to take it to a religious standpoint for those that are in church up in here.
Go for it. I use
But
religious.
some of I forget the word, but when you're steadfast and strong and you have that faith, like they say, the size of a mustard seed,
Yeah.
your change is possible. However, faith without works is dead. And that's one thing that I grew up knowing. And that's one thing that I see people ignore.
Yeah.
Part.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
You can't
Let's
get
get into some of these comments real quick because the comments is rolling on in and we just been talking. Hey, Jacqueline. Ramona says you have to be able to see both sides of the conflict. Ramona gave us a hallelujah. Yes. Jacqueline says hallelujah. Yes, Jacqueline. Yes. Let's see what else we got. Hey, Damien. Jacqueline says, you preaching, girl. You preaching.
Hi, Jacqueline.
Mhm. Hey,
Just be honest.
Sonia. Um, Ramona says sometimes where you're trying to go is not where you need to go. I needed that right there. Hallelujah. You are so on point. And thank you. That's directed towards you, Mrs. Sumlin.
Thank you. Thank you.
What else we got? Ramona says, that's what I've been doing. Just push people away that I should not have around me and keeping the ones around that I don't need to have around me. So I think what you're saying is pushing people away, the ones that you should have around you and keeping the ones around that you don't need to have. And that's something that, like, you don't need to beat yourself up about that. The reality is that a lot of us do that because
Yes.
when the idea of letting somebody in, when people start to actually get to know the true you and get to see who you are and where you are and what you are and how you are, then it makes you more susceptible to vulnerability, and that's a scary place to be in when you don't have any positive experiences of that. You know what I'm saying? For those of us who grew up in a world where our vulnerability was used against us over and over repeatedly, then the idea of being vulnerable, the idea of somebody might actually accept me for who I am, that is really, really scary. And so we have to really do the work that Dianna was talking about to heal ourselves from that. So I definitely understand that, Ramona. Courtney says, yes, ma'am. I had that conversation with Ivan last night talking about the scale. She said, I told him the scale was going to drive me crazy. So I wasn't looking at it anymore. I see my waistline shrinking. Hey, come on.
Listen,
Come on.
look at that mental weight the same way. Look at that mental and emotional weight the same way you look at that physical weight.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Working on these 28-day diets and these keto diets and all of that, the same way that you're trying and you're working through it and you're constantly putting yourself in a position to try something that's going to work for you, and you're finding that thing that works to help you lose that physical weight. You do the same thing with the emotional mental way. You
Yeah.
find that thing that really helps you, that healthy thing. Now, keep that in mind. It has to be something that's healthy for you.
Yeah.
Something that is not disruptive and this and damaging to your life. Because
Yeah.
sometimes we think that if we do this, that's helping, but it's really not. It's just masking the problem. It's like somebody fixing a car but not really fixing it, and the carburetor fall out. But all they did was put duct tape on it. That's what you're doing. So you
Yeah.
might do that to yourself. You give yourself
Absolutely.
the opportunity to love yourself. Big part of self-love is actually giving yourself a damn chance. If
Yeah.
you give yourself a chance, nobody in this world will. If you don't see yourself as worthwhile, if you do not see changing small things to help you as worthwhile, then you really do not understand what self-love is, and that's not necessarily your fault.
It's not. And
Not
that's the part that I think is most important
yes,
to highlight is
yes,
that we're not saying because you don't see yourself as worthy of love or because you don't see yourself as deserving of happiness and of the life that you want to have means that you're never going to get that, or it means that you're not trying enough hard enough, or that you don't want it enough, or that, or even that you're not making the effort. Like, that's not what we're saying at all. It's not necessarily your fault that you had the experiences that you had and that you lacked the skills that you needed in order to be able to properly process those feelings. But what we are saying is that right now, today, you get to choose.
mm-hmm.
Today, you get to make a decision to be an active participant in your life. And we're not just talking about getting this money. We're
Nah,
not
bro.
just talking about getting this fame and popularity or whatever that might be, or even
Mm,
just, getting the romantic guy of your dream, or girl of your dreams, or he, she, them, they of your dream. Whatever floats your
yes.
boat, girl. This is a judgment-free zone. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Okay. So we're not just saying attaining those
Yes.
tangible things that you believe will make you happy. We're
Mhm.
talking about really making a choice
On
to
you.
release yourself from all of the things that you've been carrying and following through with
Mm-hmm.
actual coping skills and strategies,
Yes.
learning new ways of managing things, like actually making the changes.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
what we're talking about.
And just to piggyback off of what you were saying, because I'm big on that whole fault and responsibility thing. That's like my thing right there when it comes to
Right.
about healing and loving ourselves and finding who we are authentically. It is so important to recognize the difference between fault and responsibility.
Mm.
Yes, it can be someone's fault that you're hurt, that you have pain for something, that you ended up in a certain situation that you were seriously not trying to get into. Yes, it definitely can be another person's fault. However, at the end of the day, it is your responsibility
Girl, come on now.
to do the work,
Come on
to
now.
work on releasing that pain, releasing that anger, releasing that fear, releasing, actually forgiving. Because the thing is, we talk about forgiving when it comes to fault and responsibility, but the reality is we're not really forgiving.
Yeah.
You got to be able to forgive not only that person or people, you have to be able to forgive yourself for not supporting yourself, for
Yeah.
being able to be the person that you are
Yeah.
now. You have to be able to go back and say, you know what, Dianna, of 16 years old, I'm sorry that I could not be there when you needed me.
Girl.
But I am here now and it is okay. You have to be able to go and forgive, and not just forgive those people. We have to forgive ourselves, because I think one of the things about forgiveness and self-love is that we think that a big part of forgiveness is, we think that a lot of times the only part of forgiveness is forgiving who wronged us, not realizing that is also another major part of forgiveness is forgiving ourselves for
Yeah.
whatever guilt we have. Because it's not about shame. It's not necessarily shame, because, you know, shame and guilt are also two different things.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
one is an act versus one is a feeling. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So we have to be able to really practice saying, you know what? I'm sorry. I love you. It's okay.
And sometimes to yourself.
Yes, to yourself.
Yeah.
That mirror and say it. Like,
Yeah.
actually say it. Because not enough of us actually legitimately acknowledge that we love ourselves. We don't. If somebody asks you that you love yourself, you might be like, yeah, yeah, child, yeah. But do you actually sit there and look in the mirror and say, you know what, Latrice, I love you, girl.
Yeah.
Girl, I love you. You are a beautiful black queen. Like,
Yeah.
do we really sit there and look at ourselves and say that? Or are we just masking that shit for the public when we go post selfies, or when we go say self-care day, or when we go do all of this? Are we masking
For
what's
the gram. For the
for the
gram.
gram, or for the book, or for Snap?
Listen, Diana.
Girl.
We gonna wrap this up because we have already been on this live stream for over an hour.
Yeah, girl.
And see, you was wondering if we was even gonna have enough conversation to talk about, enough time to make it happen. I do want to highlight this last little nugget that Diana dropped off. I don't know if y'all keeping count. I think this number 3 or 4 over the course of the last hour. But I want to make sure that I highlight this thing that she said tonight. She said, "It is not your fault, but it is your responsibility." I think it's so important for us to remember that.
Yes.
We have to keep that in mind. It's not your fault what happened to you when you was 5, 6, 10, 20, 30 years old. Those things, the way people treated you, the way people infringed on your boundaries, the way people manipulated your vulnerabilities, the way that people failed to protect you, who were tasked with the responsibility of protecting you, the way that, certain situations didn't work out in your favor because of the system that we live in and exist in, right? Those things were not your fault. However, it is your responsibility to facilitate your own healing
Yes.
from those things.
Yes.
That
Exactly.
is what is your responsibility. You
Mm.
cannot continue to push that off on other people. You are the only person charged with and capable of healing yourself from those experiences.
Your life.
It's your life and you have to participate in it. And I think that begins with verbalizing what you want, what you need, what you feel, what
Mm-hmm.
you think, allowing yourself to be seen,
Yes.
and refusing to stay in whatever the box is that
Mm.
you believe people are trying to put you in, or whatever the box is that you have allowed yourself and continue to allow yourself to remain in. You might
Yeah.
have not put yourself in that box, but you're choosing to stay there. At least from this point forward, you are.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you didn't even have an awareness that you was choosing that.
Yeah.
But now that you do, it's a decision from this point moving forward. I just want to say we had a few more people came in. Hey, Monique, Mama Jennifer, and my mama came on through. Hey, Mama. She know already, girl. I told my mama, I said, look, Mom, if you're going to be jumping on my live streams, you got to understand that I talks to my people now. I talks to my people. I'm gonna go over these last few comments. Sonia said, Latrice, you have me looking at everybody now, talking about are you a PRN or a core person? Listen, that's good, Sonia. You gotta make sure you gotta figure it out from the beginning. Are you a PRN person? Let them show you what category they belong in. Either they are a core person, meaning that they're gonna be with you. These are your people. These are the people that are intended to do life with you, or they're PRN person, which is not necessarily a negative thing. It just means that they serve a very specific purpose in your life as needed. And once that purpose has been fulfilled, it's time for them to exit. Those not the people that's supposed to do life with you. It doesn't mean that you don't need to engage in a PRN relationship, because PRN relationships are still intended to teach you. They
Yes,
still serve a purpose.
they really do.
Okay. But understanding the finality of that type of relationship is important.
And acknowledge it. Yeah.
Yeah. Ramona
Acknowledge when it needs to be over.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Ramona says that I'm dealing with that right now, talking about needing to forgive herself. She said,
Okay.
that's me. I got to forgive myself. She said, Ramona said, you got her crying, girl. She said, you are
Oh, man.
so on point and she needed this tonight. Look, I said we was getting ready to leave. Ramona said, no, God, don't leave.
Yeah.
Don't
That
leave,
means
please.
we gotta do a part 2.
That means that we got to do a part 2. Well, what we're going to do is when Dianna's course is ready to roll, then I will have her come on back in. But that time, next time she's going to do, we'll do a live stream inside of Trust Village, which is your safe space for healing and manifestation. Trust Village is my free Facebook group. And I might even, I don't know, maybe I'll get you to make a little course for Trust Village Academy too. We'll see.
And hey, that's what's up. Listen, you know me, I'm all about sharing what I have with everybody. I feel like if you learn it and you get the education behind you and the experience behind you, that's your job, is to share what you know with everyone and share how they can heal and grow. So that's listen, it's bigger than me. So I'm down for it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Ramona got the last comment of the day, and she says, it's not your fault. It's your responsibility to deal with it and learn from it and grow from it and heal from it. And to that, I say, you got it, boo.
Yes,
You got it. That's exactly right. That's
yes.
exactly right. Dianna, thank you so much for doing a live stream with me. Dianna was a little nervous, y'all. I'm gonna put you on blast, boo. Dianna was a little nervous because this is her first time doing a live stream, like a professional live stream. Well, I don't know how professional it is because y'all know
It's
I be
professional enough.
yeah,
And
we
then
are
you got me.
professional.
And then I'm looking rough and stuff because of the whole
Listen, girl, it's the Rona outside, girl.
activity.
So
You got
don't
me up in here like, so
thank you so much for coming through. Before we head out, go ahead and let everybody know how they can reach you, where they can follow you, if they want to get in touch with you, to talk to you or work with you. How can they make that happen?
well, I have several different places that you guys can reach me at. You can reach me on my Facebook, which is Dianna Sumlin. And you could also reach me on my IG. It is the Anger Response Advocate. I am a certified anger management professional. So for those who have trouble with dealing with their anger and self-love, come to me. But yes, you can reach me at the Anger Response Advocate on IG, Dianna Sumlin, here on Facebook, as well as DS Therapy Mentoring, DS Therapy MC at gmail.com. And as well as DS Dianna Sumlin at dstherapymc.com. You can go to my website as well. That's the same. It's www.dstherapymc.com. And yeah, you can reach me any kind of way. I'm always available for any clients, anybody who just has questions, comments, or wants to work. So yeah, you can reach out to me. My phone number, my business line is 786-571-4006. So thank you again for having me on tonight. I definitely look forward to the next one. Yeah, we definitely gotta have a part two of this.
I done popped your little live streaming cherry,
You
girl.
know, you didn't even have to tell people you popped my cherry. I don't understand though. How you think I wanted to know? You know that
Well, listen, girl, you know, we
to
talk,
this.
we share. I talk to my villagers. And so any one of them will let you know these is my people. And the fact that I shared you with my people says a lot about who you are and what you are capable of. And you definitely did not disappoint. And so you did an awesome and amazing job. High five, sis. High five.
My sister.
Yeah, y'all know I love a high five. I enjoy a high five. All right, that's all I got for y'all tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. I love y'all and I appreciate y'all.
Thank
And
you for having me. I love you too,
until next
girl.
time, y'all. Bye, y'all.
Peace.